I'm here with Alexander Mercouris, editor-in-chief of the Duran. Alexander, let's talk about the new UK Prime Minister, Boris Johnson. What are your first thoughts? He's sacked a bunch of people. He's appointed some new people into the cabinet. Jeremy Corbyn flipped out a little bit in the in the House of Commons, the Parliament.
Yeah, you did.
Now I guess he's a Remainer. What do you make of all the news that's taken place?
Well, I mean, if you look at the media today in Britain, I mean, I think there is a profound sense of shock because, of course, everybody was expecting that Boris Johnson was going to win. What they didn't expect was this absolute, complete overhaul of the government that he has carried out. I mean, he has sacked all of the important Remainer ministers within Theresa May's cabinet. I mean, he's purged them. He's just booted them all out. He's also sacked a few people who I would call wobbly leavers, in other words, people who were pretty loyal to Theresa May and who he probably felt he couldn't rely upon in a crisis. He came to the House of Commons looking extremely energetic and forceful. And you're quite right, Corbyn looked tired and completely confused. But it's a confusion that virtually the entire British political class feels, because I think what is now absolutely clear is that Boris Johnson understands very well that his political survival and that of the Conservative Party depends on Britain leaving the European Union on the 31st of October, deal or no deal. I think he has calculated that there is no chance of the European Union renegotiating this awful agreement that Theresa May came up with. So I think he is now preparing himself for a no-deal scenario, and he has surrounded himself in cabinet and in the junior ranks of the government with people who he feels he can reliably rely on in that scenario when he pushes for a no-deal. The political class in Britain explodes, and he is forced, I think, to press the nuclear button, which is proroguing Parliament. In other words, cancelling, adjourning Parliament until Brexit is done. And I think he realises that if he's going to do that, he's going to have to rely on the complete loyalty of the cabinet and of the government to see it through. So we are setting ourselves up for a major political clash in September, October. My prediction is that he will carry it through because the residual powers of the government in Britain are sufficient to do it. I think the House of Commons will be prorogued against the wishes of its members. And I think Britain will leave the European Union almost certainly on a no-deal basis. So that's where I think we're heading. I think beyond that, I think Boris Johnson will probably want to call the general election very soon after Brexit Day. But I don't think he will do it before, because I think he realises that that would be politically hugely risky. Because if there was a general election, there's a strong possibility that Remainer opinion might crystallise, might harden behind Jeremy Corbyn and Labour, and the Conservatives might even lose the election, or, which would be as bad, end up once again without a majority. So I think rather than do that, I think he's going to press ahead, carry out Brexit, or try to carry out Brexit on the 31st of October. I think he's prepared to prorogue Parliament to do it. And I think he's now got a cabinet that he believes will hold loyal to that and hold fast to him during the crisis that will undoubtedly happen.
Who do you think are the most notable new people in the cabinet, and who are you happy to see leave?
Right.
I mean, a lot of people left.
Right.
Hunt, Clark, Hines, Bradley, Hammond, Stuart Pearce. I'm just reading from a Twitter feed of everyone that left, was sacked, resigned, or retired. So who are you happy to see in the Johnson cabinet? Who are you looking forward to see? And who are you happy, left?
Right. Can I just make my own personal feelings absolutely clear about this? I share with Boris Johnson the view that Brexit is now the overriding priority. I mean, whatever, greater views I have about who's in the cabinet and who's out, and whatever the other qualities of these people might be, my priority at the moment, and I think it is the priority for the country, is to have Brexit done. So I entirely welcome the fact that we have a unified cabinet which is finally committed to doing that. Now, as to these various people in the cabinet, I'm going to reveal a secret, which is that one of these people is a friend of mine. One of the people who's in the cabinet is a friend of mine. I'm not going to say who it is. That's the first thing. The second thing I'm going to say, so obviously that person, I'm very pleased to see him promoted. I've given away something about him, but that's his gender. But in all other respects, I think the most interesting promotion is that of Jacob Rees-Mogg to the position of Leader of the House of Commons. He's not yet been made a full member of Cabinet, but he will be sitting at the cabinet table. That is an extraordinary promotion for Jacob Rees-Mogg, who is obviously up to now been a backbencher. And it is the clearest possible sign, given Jacob Rees-Mogg's views, that this government now is serious about carrying out Brexit. Now, as to the others, well, they're all, if I may say so, well-known leavers. None of them strike me as tremendous administrators. Perhaps Syed Javid, who's the new Chancellor. I mean, he looks a pretty competent person. But none of them, as I said, inspire me in any other respect. The key for me is that they are committed leavers and that they understand that Brexit is something which has to be done. As for those that have gone, I'm going to say the same about them. None of them inspired me as being people of any great ability. And I'm frankly glad to see them go, because people like Philip Hammond, who was our Chancellor, and David Gauck, who was our Justice Minister, were quite obviously plotting incessantly to stop Brexit. And given that I think Brexit is the priority, I think they don't belong in what has to be at this time a Brexit government. So I am glad to see all of them go. I am supporting this reshuffle. I know some people call it a coup. I may not support them for very long after the 31st of October. But if they get Brexit done, then it will have been worth it.
Okay, and finally, Alexander, your thoughts on Corbyn. I thought he had a little bit of a mini meltdown, or at least strategically, I think he messed up in that he's kind of committed himself now to remain. Do you think he folded?
Well,
Do you think this was a strategic mistake, or was it the right thinking on his part? What do you make of what he said in the House of Commons of Parliament as far as remaining?
He came across to me as an exhausted man and a man who's in serious difficulties, and I'll explain why. Because I think Corbyn understands very well that he cannot form a government. He simply cannot form a government and win it by winning an election if he alienates Leave voters across England and Wales. This is something that his party, far too many people in his party, simply refuse to understand and acknowledge. What has now happened with the Conservative government crystallizing around a hard Brexit position is that this policy of ambiguity that Corbyn has been trying to follow, in which he's been trying to balance pro-Remain opinion within his party with pro-Leave opinion in his country, is unsustainable. It's become impossible because his party now wants strong opposition to Boris Johnson. And I think he feels very much against his will and very much against his judgment that he's been dragged into a strong Remain position, which he doesn't believe in and which he knows is tactically unwise. So that was why he had this meltdown, and I think that's the right word, by the way, in the House of Commons when he confronted Boris Johnson. I think that Jeremy Corbyn quietly, if he's, provided he remains Labour leader, it's touch and go whether he does now. But for him, quietly and secretly, he must desperately hope that Brexit gets done on the 31st of October. Because if it isn't done then I think he's going to also find himself in an incredibly difficult position. He's going to be in a difficult position if it happens, and he's going to be in a worse position if it doesn't happen. And I don't think at the moment he has any answers to this.
Okay, and finally, one last question. UKIP, Brexit Party, Farage, happy? You think they're happy?
Well, my own personal view, and I'm going to say this straightforwardly, I think Farage actually is probably happy because, contrary to the orthodoxy amongst the mainstream media here in Britain, which is overwhelmingly Remain and therefore detests Nigel Farage and sees him as an opportunist and a charlatan and a populist, I think, on the contrary, that Nigel Farage is an extremely serious politician, a very effective politician, and a person who is committed to Brexit. And I think if he is convinced that a Brexit is going to happen, I don't think he is at the moment, but if he sees that the prospects of Brexit happening have grown because of the government that has now appeared, I think he will be pleased with that, because that is his only purpose in politics. He's been absolutely open about this. And I predict if we get a hard Brexit on the 31st of October, I think Farage probably will not leave politics in the way that he did before, because I think he will be concerned still that there will be some people in Britain who will try to reverse Brexit. Very difficult that is to see happen. But I think he will feel that his mission in life has been largely done. People mustn't forget that Nigel Farage made the huge mistake after the referendum of retiring from politics. He came back not because he wanted to, it seems to me, but because Brexit wasn't happening. He formed his Brexit party. He thrashed the Conservatives in the Euro Parliament elections. That has catapulted Boris Johnson into Downing Street. That has resulted in a complete reconstruction of the Conservative government. Farage has once again transform the political situation in Britain, and I think he feels that things are moving his way. Now, as for UKIP, I'm afraid I think UKIP is largely a spent force in politics, and I think people need to understand that and acknowledge it. Maybe after Brexit happens, a more right-wing party will re-emerge on other issues. I doubt it personally. I don't think that in politics, in British politics, there is much space for it. I suspect if Brexit happens, we will see a renewed Conservative Party over time, restoring itself and repositioning itself as the key centre-right party in British politics, hopefully purged by then of all its residual Remain groups. But that remains to be seen. And as I said, the priority now is to get Brexit done.
Theresa May, one of the worst prime ministers in UK history, yes or no?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think the worst prime minister in my lifetime. I mean, I can't remember a worse one. I mean, I think you have to go back to Neville Chamberlain in the 30s to see a more disastrous prime minister than Theresa May. I mean, what happened as a result of her premiership was that a plot, I think that's the right word to use, a remainder plot to reverse Brexit gained extraordinary force and came far closer to success than it ever should have done. And had it succeeded, that would have been extraordinarily disastrous for the political stability of Britain. I think that the chances now are that that remainder plot will fail. We have to thank Nigel Farage for making that possible. We might even have to thank Boris Johnson, incredible though that is, but that is the reality that we are looking at now. And we have seen with Theresa May.
Alexander Mercouris, editor-in-chief of the Duran. Thank you very much. Guys, if you like this video, click the subscribe button down below. Click on the notifications bell to make sure you get notifications every time we push out a new video. Help support the Duran channel. Donate to us on PayPal, Patreon, and Subscribestar as well. And you can get an audio copy of this video. Follow us on iTunes and on Soundcloud. And of course, you can really help us out by going to the Duran shop, picking up t-shirts, picking up mugs. Alexander is wearing the black Duran t-shirts with his other gold.
Yeah, so it's gold. It's gold. It's gold. It's absolutely
gold. It's
definitely gold. I mean, it's a beautiful thing, and of course, the combination of black and gold is extraordinarily striking, and it's a beautiful thing actually. And I've also had one of my polo shirts here. This is in Athens. It's very, very hot here, and they are absolutely great shirts to wear. I mean, as I said, all 100% cotton, beautifully dyed, incredibly stylish. I had a very, very big meeting with my lawyers in Greece today. I share doing all kinds of property transactions, signing lots of documents. Alex knows how many documents you have to sign when you're doing a legal thing in Greece. So it was a business meeting, and I was wearing my polo shirt there, and very proper and stylish I looked wearing it, and entirely fitting wearing a thing like that. All the rest of them were sweating in their suits, and I was looking cool and handsome in my polo shirt. But now, as it's even more sweltering in the dark, I'm wearing my black t-shirt. I have not brought my mugs to Athens,
but I've got a hat here.
Well, you've got a hat. There we go. I'm far too precious. My mugs are far too precious to risk on aeroplane journeys and with baggage handlers and those sort of things. But they're great mugs, and that looks like a fantastic hat, Alex.
So this is my first Duran hat. It's the white one. Yeah. It's got the adjustable back. It's not a snapback. It's adjustable.
Yeah.
That's really nice. We also have snapbacks as well for the hats. Just a great hat. It feels good. It's real quality, Alexander. Real quality.
As all our things are, and as our customers, our viewers who buy our stuff, they all say the same thing. The feedback on our merchandise has been phenomenal. So, you can help the Duran by buying these great things, and you can help yourself by owning them and wearing them and drinking from them and having the great pleasure.
So how does that look?
Well, it looks fantastic. You look great. You look amazing.
And we'll leave it at that. Thank you, Alexander Mercouris, editor-in-chief of the Duran. Until next time, take care.